What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I hope you like this video. This is the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, season 11, episode 10. Listen, Bravo. I'm gonna say I call BS on this. See, the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, y'all do this every year. Now, this year the stakes are a little bit higher than normal, but y'all do this every year. You find this one thing, and you are like a dog with a bone. So for the rest of the season, this is going to be defend Erica Jane Girardi. Is this the whole rest of the season going to be dedicated to these ladies defending this woman, helping her get out of this? Like, some of this stuff was so set up for me. Let's get into the episode. But y'all, I'm telling y'all now, I'm calling BS. And y'all know I was an Erica Jane fan. Y'all know I was. If you go back and look at my old reviews, until last season, I loved me some Erica Jane. Now, last season, she kind of turned me left because I appreciate how she handled the whole Denise situation. Y'all know how I felt about that. But this is a lot. So we see her turning in the clubhouse, and once again she's talking about it's just an expense she doesn't need. It's money she doesn't need to spend. She found somebody to take over the lease for her. She packed up the whole clubhouse and took everything up out of there. And oh, she hasn't talked to Tom, and Tom hasn't paid any bills for her, and she just doesn't need it. She just doesn't need it anymore. Then we had so anyway, the rest of the episode, we're down in La Quinta, which is in Palm Springs. I'm assuming that's where it's in the desert, and I'm assuming that is where the family went when they left Kyle at home. And she said that Mauricio took the kids and went down to the desert for 2 weeks, honey. But it is a beautiful, obviously, what would you expect? It's a beautiful home. The only thing I always knew about La Quinta was it was a hotel, but clearly it is a place down in Palm Springs. I did not know. But again, the home is beautiful, and Kyle invited the ladies to come down because, again, remember, they can't travel. They can't do but so much because of the COVID. So, they got to take these, little trips here and there. Now, the good thing about the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills is, they have these summer home, winter home situations. And so it is what it is. Now, some of the ladies are staying at the house and some of the ladies are staying at a hotel. For obvious reasons, Crystal is staying at a hotel. For obvious reasons. Erica is also staying at a hotel because, I think she said that she just kind of needs some alone time, need to be able to, I guess, disconnect when she feels like, whatever. Now, 1 minute she was complaining about being isolated and being away from people, and now she's saying she want to be isolated and be away from people. Whatever, girl, whatever. So, the ladies all arrive. Of course, Miss Dorit, who has had to wear pajamas for 2 weeks, can't wait to put clothes on again, honey, and be her fabulous self, honey. Lisa Rinna is one of the first ones down there, and of course they're looking through the house. It's gorgeous, it's great, yada yada yada. Kyle is fixing her world famous lasagna. Listen, as long as it took Kyle to make that damn lasagna, it better be the best lasagna that has ever been made. Now, lasagna is actually one of my favorite dishes, and my mom's lasagna. Speaking of which, I need to call my mama because she has not made me any lasagna in a while. Note to self, when I get off of here, I gotta call my mom and tell her I need some lasagna. Anyway, but she's actually my favorite, and I like lasagna, but I don't know something about my mama's cooking. I think that's everybody. So anyway, Kyle is making lasagna for everybody. Kathy Hilton shows up with, I think, the biggest candle that I have ever seen in my life. But I love candles, and I am all here for Kathy Hilton showing up at my house with a candle. First of all, I'm here for Kathy Hilton showing up at my house. Y'all, I am loving me some Kathy Hilton, okay? But if she show up with that big ass candle, we would definitely be friends. So the first day she walks in the door, she wants to know, there's nobody to help me with my bags? Nobody's gonna help me because I'm Kathy Hilton. Kyle was like, yeah, no, I don't have, a bellman on staff, but I will help you, I will definitely help you carry your bags up the steps. She even has a fan in the room for Kathy because, Kathy need that damn fan. And it was plugged up. I love it. Anyway. That damn Sutton shows up in her drop top Bentley, honey, stunting on them hoes. Okay, I was here for it, and she has decided that she is going to go out of her way, above and beyond, and to make sure that she is nice and pleasant to Miss Crystal. She's, of course, they're being very cautious, so they're not doing a whole lot of hugging and stuff like that, other than the ones who already had COVID because they got the antibodies and they feel like they can't be destroyed now. And so they having small chit chat talk, that awkward, we're trying to have small talk, but it doesn't want to look like we having small talk, but we having small talk kind of thing. I give Sutton an A for effort. I feel like Crystal, I'm gonna give her a C for effort. So they're all waiting to hear from Erica because Erica is on her way, but she hasn't arrived yet. Now, Garcelle can't come to the next day because she has to work. She has to come after the Real gets done filming. Very reminiscent of Denise. Remember how Denise was always late for stuff because she had to work because she had a job. Anyway, so we find out that this is the same day that Tom had to go to court and they actually froze all of his assets. So Dorita's the one that's actually telling them, and Dorita's actually explaining to them, listen, when they freeze your assets, that's it, that's all. Nothing. Like, no ATM card, no nothing. Like, nothing. That is it. That is all. And they were like, so this probably wasn't a really good day for Erica, because even if she thought she was going to get some money or something was going to, trickle down, it ain't trickling down now. Now, this is what I'm going to say. His lawyers actually wanted the court to deny Erica spousal support. So now that his assets are frozen and he can't access his money and I'm no lawyer, so y'all attorneys get me together in the comments if I'm explaining this incorrectly. It sounds like, even though his assets are frozen, from my understanding, shout out to Emily D. Baker. Y'all go catch her on YouTube. She's an attorney and she breaks a lot of these celebrity lawsuits down. From my understanding, and again, if I misunderstood her, y'all get me together. But from my understanding, the court will decide what is a reasonable amount that he can live off of. So what it sounds like is that they were asking the judge not to include spousal support for Erica in that consideration. So yes, consider my, they're making him sell his house, but consider my reasonable living expenses, but don't include spousal support for my soon-to-be ex-wife. No, don't put that in there. That is how I understood that. So y'all get me together if I'm wrong. So they call Erica, of course, and Erica said that, she's on her way, that she'll be there. She just got in, yada, yada, yada. But of course, like I said, and then Dorit goes back to when it happened to her, and she was like, listen, it's not fun. I've been through it. It's, because remember, they froze Dorit's accounts for PK's bull hockey. And it's sort of similar with Erica. I mean, well, I'm not going to go down that road. I ain't going to say it's similar with Erica. I'm not going to go down that road because that's a whole different, I don't want to compare apples and oranges. So Kathy, I'm going out of order, but I do not want to forget. I do not want to forget to give y'all the happiness that was Kathy Hilton. So first of all, Kathy is struggling trying to get her Louis Vuitton luggage up the stairs, and Dorit comes along and helps her. And Dorit even had to admit, now, if this were anybody else, I'd be like, oh, well, hope you get to the top of them stairs. She said, but it's Kathy Hilton. Yes, I would help Kathy Hilton carry her luggage up the steps because she's Kathy Hilton. I said, I know that's freaking right. So Kathy is talking to Kyle, right? Kathy is having a conversation with Kyle, and she is trying to tell Kyle how to cook. And Kyle is like, Kathy, lasagna is sort of my specialty. Like, everybody loves my lasagna. Kathy was like, well, when did you learn how to make lasagna? She was like, I've known how to make lasagna for a long time. Maybe during those years when you weren't speaking to me. Like, you missed a lot when you decided you was going to be mad at me and you ain't talked to me. Kathy was like, oh. And it was funny because she took it in stride. Like, she didn't try to be like, no. She was like, oh, okay. Then Kyle is cooking and Kathy is talking. Like I said, Kathy keeps trying to tell her what to do and how to do it. And Kyle is like, I will always be the little sister. Like I will always be the baby sister. They will never treat me any differently. I'm always the baby sister. Child, Kyle knocked over something that had glass in it. And Kathy was saying how she said Kyle would probably be a really good cook if she could focus. Like she said, Kyle is ADHD ABCDEF. I said, I know you're not talking, Kathy. Kathy, I know you're not talking. Then Kyle broke some glass on the floor. Kathy comes along and decides she's gonna help Kyle get it up. She starts using the spatula for the barbecue. And instead of actually sweeping and picking any of it up, she is pushing the glass up in the corner. Y'all. And I couldn't do nothing but laugh. Like, I honestly couldn't do anything but laugh. That shit was hilarious to me. She was dead ass. And Kyle's going to say, don't do that. You got to pick the glass up. She said, I didn't put the glass on the ground. I'm not picking it up. I didn't make this mess. Then why are you trying to help clean it? Yeah. That damn Kathy Hilton. Anyway, Erica finally shows up. Let me tell y'all something. Erica, listen, if you want to sell that little Louis Vuitton little clutch thing you had when you got out the car, if it's on one of them little black market sites, you know, if it's on one of them little like secondhand consignment store sites, but it ain't really under your real name because you can't really tell nobody it's you. If it's under your like, you know, your assistant's cousin, uncle's name, can you let me know? Like email me, text me, DM me or something. I want it. It's cute. What you selling it for? Because I know it's probably on some sort of consignment website. Macari, you know, Pretty Little, whatever. Let me know. It was cute. It was cute. Anyway, moving on. I feel like Louis Vuitton is a sponsor. And I'm not even saying that to be funny. Remember how Evelyn Lozada and what's her name? Shawnee O'Neal kept wearing all that Gucci on Basketball Wives, and then we found out later on that they were kind of like ambassadors or something like that. Basically, they was getting paid to wear all that damn Gucci. I feel like Louis Vuitton is paying these people because I feel like in this episode, I saw more Louis Vuitton in this episode than I did when I went to the flagship store when I was in Paris. That's all I'm saying. That is all I'm saying. I was like, everybody. And they had like the vintage Louis on down to Dorit, who y'all know she loved, you know. Anyway, I'm sorry. Listen, I digress. That's why I like Beverly Hills, because they be giving it to me. But I digress. I'm back. So Erica shows up, and this is where this turns into the Erica Girardi infomercial. She walks in, and she immediately is like, it's not okay. And it's not going to be okay for a long time. They give her the hugs and the kisses and the love, and there's a lot of tears, and there's a lot of what happened and how are you doing. And so now she says, well, you know, now that he's under a conservatorship, hopefully now he'll get help, because I've been asking and I've been begging and nobody would listen to me. So hopefully now he'll get the help that he needs, because he just really needs help. He's just not the Tom that I married. I mean, these last few years, he was just so mean to me and so nasty to me. And he's just not the man that I married. So then, and y'all, okay, the other thing is Kathy in that damn bag. If Kathy carried that purse one more place, she carried that purse around like it had her life alert bracelet in it. Anyway, moving on. So then she proceeds to talk about how, well, I hope they said well, something about him taking his bar card. And she said, well, they need to take his bar card. It's time. It's really just time for him to retire. It's time. So now Lisa is like, oh, well, last time or was it, maybe it was Kyle. The last time I was around Tom, he seemed like he was with it. But now I'm thinking back on it, maybe not. No. Don't do it. So while this is going on, Kyle is still cooking the world's longest lasagna recipe. And Erica again is, having her moment on the couch with all the ladies sitting around listening to her. And then the ladies went into talking about how, you trust your husband. He's the businessman. He's the business owner. He's the money maker. If he comes home and he asks you to sign some papers, you just sign the papers. Now, let me be clear about this whole thing. I 100% am on board with that. I get it and I understand. I think for those of us who don't live that lifestyle, who we know every penny that comes into our home, if we're in a marriage or we're in a long-term relationship and we're not dealing with that kind of money, both of us make money, both of us bring money in the home. We don't buy a house without one person knowing all of the details and all of the paperwork. And we've seen this happen on these shows time and time again, these shows with people with money. They don't know all the ins and outs. I mean, people gave Teresa on Real Housewives of New Jersey a lot of grief. But listen, I'm going to be honest. I absolutely believe that a lot of these women, their husband comes home and they say, hey, I need you to sign some paperwork. It's for the life insurance. I need you to sign some paperwork. It's for the house we buying in Lake Tahoe. They bought the house in Lake Tahoe, but you don't know all the ins and outs. One, because it's not your money. And two, well, you know what I'm saying. And two, you didn't sit down at the table and negotiate the deal or whatever. So, and Kathy said that. Kathy said, it's nothing, she said, I wouldn't think twice about my husband coming home and asking me to sign, some papers. I trust that what he's asking me to sign is legit. Now, we might say that that's naive. We might say that's not something we would ever do. But the reality of the situation is, it's not so far out of the realm to believe that papers were signed and explanations weren't given. It's just the reality. Now that part I'm 100% on board with. I do believe. Now, here's where I make a left. Here's where I make a left. I make a left at once my name is starting to be involved in lawsuits, now we're not playing that game anymore. I need to know everything. I need to know all the ins and outs, the ups and downs, the what's and the who's in the house. We're not playing that game. Sutton starts kind of questioning some things, and Erica starts talking about how, he knew that he had her over a barrel. He knew that she wasn't going anywhere. He knew that, no matter what he did, where was she going? What was she going to do? Where was she going? This is where I call bullshit on a lot of this. Erica, you didn't have a prenup. There were a lot of places you could go. There were a lot of things you can do. And I get it that your husband is loyal to everybody. I get that. But you are also Erica Mother effing Jane. You know people. You are connected to people. You could have found an attorney that was willing to represent you and take time to task. It just is what it is. Some of this, I'm like, now if you had a prenup, that'd be a different conversation. Girl, you ain't had no damn prenup. So then Sutton starts talking to Erica about the holidays, and she opens up a little bit more about her dad and what happened with her dad, and how her dad was he committed suicide something like 2 days before Christmas. And she said, Christmas is always a hard time. And she was talking to Erica about how you have to kind of push through, you have to set up your, you have to do your traditions, and you have to keep it in a normal place, because if not, then you will be consumed with the negative, and you have to sort of stay here. So Sutton gave her some good advice, and then we kind of saw her mom, a conversation with her and her mom, which I don't remember that conversation ever being shown before. And her mama is sort of like a cool cat about this whole situation. She was like, he wasn't my father, he was my husband, and you have to understand that my relationship with your father is going to be different. And she was like, Sutton was like, well, don't you miss daddy? And she was like, I don't. I said, oh. But I do think people have to understand that everybody's relationship with somebody is different. And I think sometimes we have to normalize our real feelings. We have to normalize our reality. Sometimes somebody passes away, and yes, you're sad, but you don't miss them because they weren't that person in your life. They might be somebody different to somebody else. Anyway. So now we are finally at dinner, child. We are finally at dinner. And now we get Act 3 of the Erica Jane trilogy for tonight's episode. She starts talking about the car crash. Now, you guys remember Oh, of course, Erica has to have another conversation with Lisa Rinna about her bills and keeping the pool heated, and how, she had her pool on, um, and she got that bill, and she turned the heat off because it just was an expense she didn't need. She said, but mind you, I kept the pool heated for the last 20 years over at the mansion, and I didn't think twice about it because I never had to worry about the bill. She said, and I never got in that pool. See what I'm saying? Never got in the pool. Um, so we're at dinner, and Erica starts talking about the car wreck. And I remember her talking about it. It was either at the beginning of last season or the season before that, where she was saying how Tom was a big baby because he broke his ankle. He was in a car accident, and she had to take care of him. Yada, yada, yada. Well, now this car accident has turned into a whole production. One, she said he didn't come home that night, and she really didn't think anything of it. No, she said because she just assumed that he was out with another woman, and they were like, "What? What? He's been cheating. He's been cheating." Erica was like, "Yeah," and then here go Kyle. Yeah, I heard that. And Kyle was like, "Listen, the rumors are out there. Like, you live in this area, I mean, again, y'all know that you live in certain circles, you're going to hear stories. Like, rumors are rumors. I hope you heard the rumors about Mauricio. Moving on. So then Erica says, yeah, well, because first she said he was passed out for 12 hours, and that's how she found him. But then she said he called me. Anyway, neither here nor there, child. She said that the man was coming up a road behind their house, and somehow he ended up in the ditch over a cliff. And then she said that he was thrown from the car. But then, well, how he call you if he was thrown from the car? He had his cell phone with him. Like, what? It was a lot. The story was a lot, and the story kept getting bigger and bigger the longer she told it. I think everybody was confused. Now, whether I think Sutton gonna be the only person to say she was confused, but I feel like everybody was confused by the time she got done with that story about what happened to Tom on that road. And then she made it seem like, well, that was her first indicator that something was majorly wrong because he was on the wrong road at night. Listen, let's be clear. There are times when I forget my exit. There are times when I take the wrong exit. There are times when I'm on a road and I think I'm on road A and I'm on road B. And God forbid that that's the early sign of Alzheimer's. I'm saying. Sometimes you're going too fast on a road that you've been on 5,000 times, and you hit a curb faster than you're supposed to hit that curb. And God forbid you hit the guardrail or maybe go over a cliff. Like, it happens. Child. Now listen, if I'm being cold, if I'm being too much, y'all let me know in them comments. But that is pretty much where we were. We were with Erica telling her story about Tom and the big bad car accident. And I'm not trying to lessen what happened to Tom. And she said, I didn't lie. I told everybody he was in a car accident, and I told him he broke his ankle. But I didn't say that he broke his clavicle and he was unconscious for 12 hours and he had a concussion and a head injury. I mean, I didn't say none of that. And I'm thinking to myself, and ain't nobody know? Like, Tom Girardi is Tom Girardi. If he went over a cliff, didn't somebody have to come and get him off that cliff? That's the kind of shit that TMZ pays good money for. You mean to tell me that the tow truck driver didn't call nobody? Like, that's a lot. Did nobody know nothing? He didn't go to the hospital? Nobody at the hospital said, hey, Tom Girardi and Erica Jane are here in the emergency. Like, I ain't saying she lied. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Drop it in the comments. Peace.